verify. It's an important precept. The commissioners must clearly understand the information presented to them and before them. The commissioners must not allow themselves to be misled by inaccurate or false information. Please verify any information that you're questioning, and you can get a second opinion. You may not know this, but any elected official can petition the Attorney General of the state of New Mexico for an opinion. It must be done in writing, and the Attorney General will respond to you in writing. You can request an opinion on general matters and also on specific matters. I just want to take one example. Take the recent issue of Oldwood EDC in San Miguel County. The contract existed since 2015, yet the contract was not approved by the USDA. A third party, such as the EDC, cannot collect funds, lease payments, or rent that belong to the county or the USDA. Now think about that. How did that contract get approved? Who wrote it? Who approved it? Obviously, the prior administration wrote it and approved it, and they probably did it without contacting the USDA. If the USDA had not stepped in, the violations would have continued. U.S. commissioners must have a great gut sense. You have to know when information before you is not correct. You have to have that gut feeling. Even when staff or council give you advice or recommendations, you must be wary to make sure that the information is true and correct. I told you at the last meeting that road petitions are not quasi-judicial matters, and I stand by that. Res judicata does not apply to new road petitions. Res judicata does not bar new road petitions. This is not a court. Res judicata applies to old court issues, not new ones being brought before the commission. Old county commission decisions cannot and do not bar review or new petitions. That's why new petitions are allowed. So make sure that you listen to what I'm saying, because you are not getting the best possible information, the most accurate information. And as a new commission, a relatively inexperienced commission, except for Mr. Padilla, you need to make sure that you're having the best possible information before you make your decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Next up is Michael Adams. Good afternoon, Mr. Adams.
Good afternoon, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, audience. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I'm actually here for KK&R's recycling program. The young gentleman who started this program in Mora couldn't make it today because he actually works two jobs. One of them is the recycling, and he also works for UPS. He came to economic development to be able to maybe help him with his company. And I think we're doing that. The question he wanted me to ask the county and the commission was basically, I've already met with Mr. Madrid on some of your recycling for the cardboard. The young man already does cardboard in Mora and Las Vegas, probably has 37 businesses that he picks up different cardboard recycling products out of. He wants to start with that, and we want to help him at EDC to move forward with a lot of the other items that he wants to do, aluminum, all the way to tin, all the way to plastics, maybe even glass, which is very difficult to do. But I believe at EDC, if we could help him, we can make his company move forward and again recycle a product that we all want done. Actually, the county does collect, if you already don't know that, you already collect in containers the cardboard that he does and he sends out already. We're just trying to help this man again. With this, he could probably employ 2 more people in Las Vegas and open his recycling business here in town. We're either looking at DBIB or maybe even looking at the industrial park to be able to put his new baler, or the baler that he has already been using in Mora, and the city actually has a baler which they're willing to let him use. Any questions? And again, I'm representing the young man. His name is Francisco Chavez, a young entrepreneur that we want to move forward and to keep in Mora and Las Vegas and San Miguel County.
Mr. Chairman? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Have you talked to Morris about the county cardboard?
Yes, I have, Mr. Commissioner.
Mr. Morris, is this a feasible operation?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I did have a discussion with the young man, and if we can work out the details, this is a win-win for both, because he can increases business, employ additional people. For us, it's a win because we don't have to take the materials to landfill.
So we're just throwing it away.
We're just throwing it away right now. So this would decrease our transportation and our tipping fees without us doing anything.
Thank you, Mr. Madrid.
I have a question as well. Are you done?
Yes.
Sure. I just, how would this affect the recycling program at Highlands? Because presently I take all my cardboard over there. Would that affect them at all? They have a really good recycling program over there.
Well, what he does is actually, he has a couple, right now he has part-time folks that are actually come pick it up. We're working on probably work with a couple of folks at state EDC to work with the JTEP program. Since he ships this stuff out of state, we're able to maybe help him with 2 employees more to be able to actually come to your house, put the cardboard out front. I'm trying to work with the city. Maybe we could get back into the recycling program. I don't know if you remember that Henry Sanchez had a recycling program, and under Morris Madrid when he was city manager. So we'd like to try to bring something like that back, but again, hopefully I'll work with like Tim Hagerman maybe on something, or we could bring the JTEP program in to help this young man. I just wanted to bring it to the forefront, and so did he, as far as what he's trying to do. Doing very well in Mora. I think he has almost everybody willing to help him and support his program. Now, we just brought on, hopefully, if we could bring on the county and the city, we could probably, if we get 60% of the cardboard, it would be amazing for production. And again, we worked out some stats last week with this young man. I'd like to see another company come into Las Vegas to be able to hire 2 more people in Las Vegas. Is like having 30 in Albuquerque, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adams.
One more question.
One more question. Go ahead, Mr. Olivari.
Yes, Mr. Adams. I'm curious on that first responder thing, the meetings that we first had initially, and it was like hot as a potato, and things were really going strong. Can you tell us where we're at with the first responders project for the EDC?
Absolutely. If I'm able to respond, I'll jump from recycling back into the first
I
responder.
apologize. I just thought of it. So.
And that's okay. No problem, sir. As a matter of fact, the last meeting we had, I think you were there, Mr. Chairman, when we brought the UNM president to economic development. I gave a rendering to the county manager that we had already had produced with Wilson and Company. We're done with phase 1 and phase 2 of that first responder. I've just not been able to present to the county manager or yourselves on what phase we're at. Now again, this also needs funding. I'm still working with Wilson and Company, but again, the EDC doesn't have the money to continue on with the program to make that first responder move forward. We do have the pamphlet and the booklet. I'll be happy to bring it to the county, whoever would like a copy of that booklet. And I do have renderings. I gave you, I think it's about a 2x4 foot rendering that we actually produced the last time I met, and that was with the president of UNM.
All right.
We funded you a year ago almost, like maybe 10 months ago for this project.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got a little bit off the topic here of the public.
So you haven't received the monies?
No, sir.
Mr. Olivari, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Thank you. Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Bob Withers.
Hello, my name is Bob Witters, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Old Wood, LLC. As you may remember, the County Commission voted at its last commission meeting to terminate Old Wood's lease for the spec building at the Wood Business Park. This termination will go into effect in a few days. But Old Wood does not have a new lease to replace the old lease. Do the county commissioners expect Old Wood to stop operations at the spec building in the next few days when our lease expires? Old Wood believes the termination of this lease is unnecessary. A simple modification to the current lease so that we pay our rent to the county rather than EDC is all that's needed. On 28 August, Old Wood received a letter from Alex DeFoya at the county with a proposed new lease attached. Quite frankly, that proposed new lease is unacceptable to Old Wood, and we can't sign it. Old Wood has moved into its very business firewood season, with deliveries starting to increase rapidly for packaged firewood. We hope we can conclude this lease very quickly. All Old Wood wants to do is quietly run our business in San Miguel County and create jobs. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Withers.
Mr. Chairman, wasn't that motion on the Isn't that motion conditional onto an agreement, at least with the Old Wood? So it shouldn't be going into effect if there's no agreement, because it was conditional. The motion was conditional on an agreement with the county and Old Wood.
Exactly.
So it shouldn't be going into effect in 3 days.
Counselor?
Mr. Chairman, normally whenever you have a landlord-tenant lease and the lease expires, then the lease goes to a month-to-month tenancy. We do have a meeting scheduled for Thursday, I think it's in the morning, with Old Wood and with staff. And so some of those issues that have been brought up will be addressed before or during that meeting.
All right, this Thursday?
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would point out our lease is not expired. Our lease was terminated by the county commission.
Understood. All right.
That wasn't the intention of, Mr. Chairman, if I could address that. I made the motion with conditions that their contract would only be terminated if they were able to continue operation there. The county would work with Old Wood, and those were the conditions that were set forth. So I didn't expect that they'd be terminating their lease until these other conditions or these things were in place.
All right.
If I may address the
Yes.
commission. Generally, what we're talking about here are legal interpretations, legal matters, looking at the facts, looking at the motion and the language. But I can assure you and Old Wood that your lease is not terminated, and that we will continue until we develop a new lease with the old relationship.
All right. Fully
And
understood. Your lease is
should
not
be-
terminated. You heard it from our counselor, okay? Your lease is not terminated.
The rest of this should be handled not in a public comment part of a meeting.
I understand
but
that.
in a private meeting between the parties.
Yeah, we've gotten off the script here. Okay, let's move on.
Yes, sir.
Under item number 1, at that time we had agreed to change the agenda. We will move on to item number 3.
New business, sir? Point of order?
On new business, I'm sorry. I apologize for
Thank
that,
you,
Commissioner
Chairman.
Olivares. We have changed the agenda to allow your presentation on the workforce summit.
I'll make it short and sweet.
All right?
The local area Northern Workforce Board for the 9 northern counties are holding a workforce summit Thursday from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. You can get on the workforce board and still register. We're having breakfast, lunch, what's happening there. We're going to have a roundtable discussion. A number of large employers are going to be presenting. Employers are going to be presenting the needs that they have. For example, one employer needs 30 men or women, 30 roofers, 2 days for $30 an hour. You know, there's going to be thousands of jobs that they're going to be describing that are coming up in the future, jobs that are now. We're going to go over all the different partners under WIOA, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, and all the partners, all the resources available to community members and employers to get training, things that are funded for training, education, and other things. All these partners working together to educate the community on all the resources available for employment, for sustainable employment. That will happen on Thursday. On Friday, we're having a job fair, a hiring event. So, for example, Los Alamos has 1,000 jobs a year for the next 3 or 4 years. Sandia Labs will be there, BHI will be there, small employers, large employers, these roofing companies going to be there. You know, Luna Community College will have a table. They have all kinds of openings that haven't been filled yet. So anyone that you know that's looking for employment or wants to learn about resources on how to get employed, how to get trained under these programs, which are all free, all paid by the federal government, we have the jobs out there, and there's no shortage of them. And this event was supposed to be happening in Farmington, but when I became the CBO of the Northern Workforce Board, we got it here in Las Vegas. So, you know, spread the word. This is something that this community really needs, and we can get a lot of people employed. So Friday from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock is the hiring event, and Thursday, free lunch and free breakfast for the Workforce Summit at Luna Community College in the auditorium. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Olivares. Again, under new business, we have a presentation of La Llorona Domestic Violence Services. Presenter is Candy Thomas Apodaca.
I don't believe she's here, sir.
They are not here?
I don't see Miss Candace Apodaca in the
Okay.
room.
Also, we have a presentation on roadside vegetation management without herbicides, presented by Sarah Reb, presented by Sarah Reb. Ms. Reb.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the agenda and I see public input and then I see the presentations. Were we supposed to take care of all public input first?
We did. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, there was only 3 items, 3 presenters on public input.
Okay.
We're under new business now.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
in
they
new
are.
business, yeah.
Yeah. I just skipped over that.
My
Okay,
own?
go ahead, ma'am.
Sarah Reed from Revere. I gave each of you 2 documents. One is the Vegetation Management Program from NMDOT, and the other one is
Would you state your name, please, just for the record?
Sarah Reeb.
Okay.
The other one is a Vegetation Management Without Herbicides, and I'm well aware that Washington State is totally different than here. And I didn't give you that document as a guide how to manage weeds exactly, so much as the philosophy that they used. Because there's a difference between managing weeds and noxious weeds and roadside vegetation and just killing weeds. And this, okay? I was afraid I was too loud.
Would you, yeah, the microphone.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
All right, well, I gave you 2 different philosophies.
Okay.
And I was so naive. When I came to the commission meeting last month, I was so naive. I read the New Mexico DOT vegetation management, and I thought they were talking about using herbicides to kill noxious weeds. But they're talking about way more than that. They're talking about using herbicides to kill everything. All broadleaf plants, wildflowers. If anybody's been east of Las Vegas, you've seen the Tramontina strip where they sprayed native thistles and native plants. I stopped repeatedly. I could not find any noxious weeds in that mix. And that is what they're planning for the future. One pass with the mower and everything else is going to be vegetation management with herbicides. So there's lots more to come with that. But the opposite is that other document I gave you where they got into the managing weeds, all roadside vegetation and noxious weeds with vegetation dynamics. And here's the difference. Before they went to that program, they were all experts on herbicides and equipment and spray equipment. They really were proud of themselves because they had all the technology. And suddenly the commissioners just said, no more herbicides. You go figure it out. And they did, and they came up with a program that was based on long-term established communities that were weed resistant. And that's possible here. And then since that last commissioners meeting, I've talked to quite a few people, and one thing I've learned is that the county doesn't spray. The city doesn't spray. But yeah, you do. It's by proxy. Because I just got a copy a couple hours ago of the Mora and San Miguel County Cooperative Weed Management Area Action Plan and the Memorandum of Understanding. And maybe before everyone's time, everybody I've asked about this just looks at me blank. But it was signed in 2007 with just about everybody. Commissioners, Mora County, NMDOT, anybody with anything to do with weeds signed off on this thing. And Tierra Montes operates under that, and they do spot spraying on county highways, state highways. So they are doing that. Now, I was looking at this agreement and a memorandum of understanding. I'm missing page 3. But the end of page 2 says, this memorandum of understanding will become effective upon signature by all parties and shall continue in force for a period of 5 years, at which time it will expire unless extended or, well, I don't know what comes after or. But in view, there have been changes in weed management, and there's just a nationwide push and interest in going to something other than herbicides. And I think it might be time to review this document and see if it can't be updated. It has some good things in the action plan, and most of it was in 2008. So there's things in the background. At the last commissioners meeting, Molly Smollett stood up and her opening line was, herbicides don't have boundaries. Well, weeds don't either. And long ago and far away, I was a commercial pesticide applicator, because that's what I had to do to take care of noxious weeds on public lands. But I've been rehabilitated. And so since 2002, I've been studying and looking and using noxious weed management without herbicides. And there's not too many ways that can't be adopted at that. Some of the toughest ones are Canada thistle and Russian knapweed. Perennials, deep-rooted. One of them you can mow, the other one is a disaster if you mow it. You have to know weed identification. And none of you have to know all the weeds in this book. Anybody here probably can spot a thistle. Well, there might be 20 native thistles, but you only need to know the 4 that are invasive weeds. And the other one that's an issue is the knapweeds. There's 3. They all look alike. So unless you get out and look at them, you can fine-tune what you have, because all 3 are totally different and have different treatments. Anything on the county, I know the county doesn't mow. You do have some people that do cooperative mowing. In the document I gave you addresses timed interval mowing, which is very effective for most weeds, especially the thistles. I know that county roadsides and any roadsides present a little different situation than somebody's pastures. You're dealing with runoff from the road, it's got oil, you get salt in the winter. It's a tough environment, and that's why some of those weeds can thrive there. That's what they like. They like poor soils, they like disturbed ground. Some of you have been sending some emails about situations where you get weeds where you have disturbed ground. Sometimes there's just a line right between a patch of some noxious weed and something else. I gave all of you a musk thistle so that you could recognize it. Whatever weed management program for noxious weeds is going on missed that stand. So, not criticism. But getting away from herbicides is a worthy direction. It's good for the economy by engaging local enterprises, provides an opportunity for community service hours, helps to increase local knowledge, and helps rediscover traditional techniques working with nature. Over time, land resilience increases, which allows for a decrease in expenditures. There's several cost-effective analyses online, and when I looked at vegetation management plans kind of around the country, there's a real interest toward going away from herbicides. And when they did, they saw savings of 25 to 50%. There's recipes using vinegar and salt, corn gluten. There's non-toxic. The Organic Materials Review Institute has an online list if somebody is determined to spray something. They've got things that are on there that are approved for organic farmers. Vigilance and controlling weeds are the best, and prevention are the best remedies. Sustainable program will include weed identification, understanding how they got there, choices of treatments, and follow-up monitoring. One method isn't enough. There's a perception that when you spray something, an herbicide on a plant, that it's used up. That's not the case. It affects the plant, but it lives on. Glyphosate's been up for discussion quite a bit, and you know, when I look up information on glyphosate, they always talk in terms of half-life, because nobody knows the whole life. They haven't figured it out yet, but they also haven't figured out some of the half-life, because the half-life on glyphosate is anywhere from 2 days to a year. It's totally dependent on moisture, rainfall, climate, and it can change. It breaks down with soil bacteria. So it's just unknown. I honestly think that the idea that the large chemical companies convinced people that they had to have chemicals and herbicides for agriculture to grow things, to kill weeds, has to be the biggest hoax perpetrated on the American people, if not the world. It's just astounding to me that we've poisoned so much. I'm at a loss. I wrote a paper, but I'm just not going to follow all of it. Frequently, infestations of noxious weeds aren't discovered until they're well established. which means seeds are already present in the area. Even with herbicides, you don't get 100% kill. It's right on the label. 95% may be the best you can hope for. So you got to go back no matter what. If you use a non-herbicide treatments, if you pull it or you cut it off, you'll still go back. I mean, no matter what. The seeds are out there, so it's a maintenance. Things like Canada thistle, you cut it 6 inches. Most of the plant is above that. The grasses are mostly low, and that gives them an advantage, and they will crowd it out. It takes a while because it's a process. It's not a one-time kick. You're charged, everybody with noxious weeds is actually not supposed to allow them to leave your property. Now, I had a question last night. A woman said to me, well, I've got this beautiful thistle in my yard, and it's got hummingbirds and butterflies. I can't just go cut that thing down. Well, that's just fine. Enjoy your thistle, but for goodness sakes, gather up the seed heads, mulch it, do whatever you can, just don't let it spread. Musk thistle, Scotch thistle, they're very tall. The wind catches those seed heads and it scatters the seed everywhere. So if you don't do anything else, drop it on the ground. There must be people here who need, not here, but in the community who need community service hours. 2 or 3 people walking down the roadside. You can just cut thistle. You don't need to carry it away. There's already seed out there. But just getting it on the ground makes a huge difference. And most of those are annual, biennial thistles. They're going to be dead in a month anyway, but at least don't let them go to seed. It's just most of these, any of the thistles except for Canada thistle, they're annuals. There's no reason to have any of them around. They're too easy to get rid of. And right now I look around in this county and I see a thistle here and a thistle there. Nobody seems concerned. But when I lived in Colorado, I used to go to Durango routinely, and there was a horse pasture right beside the fence on the state highway, and there's a little corner of musk thistle. Every year there was a little more, and after 5 years, that whole field was taken over with musk thistle. And so what did they do? Well, then they sprayed it. And the guy ran his mares there. I don't want my horses running on that stuff. It's just, you've got an opportunity right now to get rid of all the thistles. On the knapweeds, there isn't very much. Spotted knapweed you can pull. I pulled all of it I found at Rivera, and it came back in grass. I found diffuse, and that is almost biennial, annual biennial. It has brittle stems, and it acts like a tumbleweed. It breaks off and tumbles away and scatters seed. Russian knapweed, it exudes a substance into the soil that kills everything else. It's allopathic, and it forms a dense stand. The roots can go 25 feet deep. Herbicides aren't going to touch that. They'll knock it down. But if your strategy is to set the plant back and get it to use up its root reserves, you want it to keep growing atop, and it will. Somebody said, well, you'll just get 10 times as much back. Well, not with that plant. What happens is, the first thing that happens is it quits spreading. And when I pulled a lot of that, the first thing I got back was other broadleaf plants, wildflowers, and then grasses. It didn't kill the soil like I thought it would have. It was a totally unexpected result. So we learned a few things over in another county. Timed interval mowing means that it's just like you have dandelions in your yard. You start out in the spring with big leaves and a tall dandelion, and there they are, right? Foot tall. You start mowing, by the end of the summer, your dandelions are down to there and you can't hit them with the mower anymore. That's not timed interval mowing. Timed interval mowing for something like Canada thistle is you set the mower at 6 inches, it favors the grass, and it begins to crowd out the Canada thistle. If you keep cutting it when it first comes up, you end up with real short little thistle that'll still go to seed because you can't hit it with the mower anymore. So you time the mowing for right before the buds open, or at least before it goes to seed, because that's when the root reserves are the lowest. So it really knocks it back. And then if you have to, you may have a second mowing in the fall, a little later, if there's some regrowth. That also works for toadflax and some of the other perennials. Canada thistle, if you pull it, you just get 10 times as much back. That's when you absolutely can't pull. Even if you could, it's woody and difficult.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question? Thank you, Ms. Reed, for enlightening us on this very important subject. That document that you referred to that was signed, was that 2005? Was that
2007.
2007? Did you say that it would expire after 5 years if it wasn't renewed?
Well, that's what it says at the bottom of page 2, but I'm missing page 3. So I have page 2 and page 4, and
I agree with you that it's time to revisit this, and I'd like to work with you on it to present something to the commission at a later date that's updated and more with the times, because I am concerned about the chemicals that get into our water, for everything. And we don't need extra chemicals lying around, especially close to the waterways, and they go into our seconds and into the rivers. So
and it's just everywhere.
Something to update.
And they're interested. I actually got this at Tierra Montes before this meeting.
That was going to be my other question. Was that an initiative that was driven by Tierra Montes?
You know, I actually still have the cookbook for this. They called them CWMAs. I don't have that document in front of me, or yeah, I do, but it was Cooperative Weed Management Area Agreement, CWMA. And they actually put out this little cookbook and how to draw these up, and it was a big push like in 2006 from the Extension Service, and a lot of areas did it, and there's a lot of counties that didn't do it because they just couldn't agree on it. But I did talk to Frances at Tierra Montes, and she's very interested in some alternative treatments because they're having ranchers come in that don't want to spray chemicals, especially in Moore County. Moore County, you can't, the state told me they can't drive a truck in there with a spray rig because they'll get run out. They're not allowed to spray in Moore County. Taos County, it's similar. If an NMDOT spray truck goes in there, they get 300 phone calls from angry people. Yeah, and Rio Arriba County is kind of getting that way too because of the spray accidents last year.
And thank you for the beautiful flower, by the way.
Well, see, that's the problem with them. They're beautiful. That's a musk thistle. A Scotch thistle's real tall and kind of coarse. Musk thistle's really pretty. I worked in Colorado, and there was a subdivision up there where the county had a borrow pit, and that county borrow pit had leafy spurge. Thank God there's none of that down here. And leafy spurge is, yay tall, and it's a chartreuse color. It's really pretty. And the county took that dirt and fill all over that subdivision, and I drove through there, and I just about dropped my teeth because people thought it was so pretty, and they were so proud of their stands of leafy spurge. They were mowing around it, grooming it.
Thank you very much. We must move on with our agenda. Thank you very much for your presentation today. Right?
I don't know how to turn this off.
Okay, moving on to regular order today, and we're also on item number 3 that we moved up from the agenda under new business, under regular order, I'm sorry. We have item number 3, Rivera Community Culture Center, presenter Maria Martinez. Commissioner Martinez.
On item number 3, we have the Rivera Community Culture Center. Background information is request to approve and sign the contract with the Rivera Community Culture Center for $10,000 for fiscal year 2018-19. The action requested of the commission is to approve. Staff recommendations to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Varela, second by Commissioner Olivari. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Back to item number 1. Oath of office, detention center presentation. Ordinance L. Ewell.
Chairman, Commissioners, residents, detention officers, please come forward and line up. Before you today is the detention staff of San Miguel County Detention Center. Generally, an oath of office is taken when a cadet moves from officer, right there, gentlemen, right in front, facing the commission. An oath of office is generally taken when a cadet moves from cadet to officer. Our detention center has never taken an oath of office, therefore our current staff will now take their oath of office and reaffirm their rank as officer, sergeant, lieutenant for the detention center.
Just for everybody's information, the swing shift came in earlier. We swore in about 8 officers this afternoon before this meeting.
I was wondering who's guarding the fort.
Yeah, the swing shift somebody has to guard the prisoners now. All right, I'm going to ask you all to raise your right hand. I'm going to ask you, I will swear you in, you will state your name. At the end of the oath, you will state your rank, okay? I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Mexico. That I will follow all policies and procedures of the County of San Miguel and the San Miguel County Detention Center. And that I will faithfully, impartially, and to the best of my ability, discharge all the duties of detention officer in your rank. Sergeant, Lieutenant, Correctional Officer. Right. Congratulations to all of you. Now the warden will give you your badges. He's got some beautiful badges for you.
Officer Francisco Melendez.
Also, for everybody's information, if you're wondering why the manager's not here, is he had a back injury. He tried to make it, but he's not here today. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, he did. Hey, sir. Improve the scenery. Hashtag me too.
I've been down sales.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners.
Thank you, Warden. Thank you, Major. All right, under the next item, we have a very worthy and notable resolution to Sally Flores. very, very valuable member of our community. To present it is Commissioner Rocky Barriga. Sally Flores.
Sally, would you and
Would you come up,
Sarah like
please?
to come up to the podium, please? Bienvenidos.
Thank you.
San Miguel County Resolution Number 2018-11-09, Sally. A resolution in recognition of Sally P. Flores for her service and dedication to San Miguel County and its citizens. Whereas Sally has dedicated 9 years to the San Miguel County Local Emergency Preparedness Committee and has been voted as the committee chairman. And whereas Sally has developed the LECP Expo and has held a total of 4 expos to date. And whereas Sally has used the last 2 LEPC expos to give back to the community, especially the children. With help from the local entities, Sally has managed to give out 247 backpacks full of school supplies over the last 2 years during the LECP Expo. And whereas Sally has also dedicated her time to the San Miguel Search and Rescue and is the current president. She has made it a priority to make sure her team is well-trained and prepared for any situation that may happen with the County of San Miguel. And whereas Sally has been a volunteer firefighter and an EMS first responder for 10 years and also serves as the 24/7 dispatcher with the Cabo Lucero Fire Department and is the first lieutenant. And whereas Sally runs a local Ready, Set, Go fire program where she educates the community on how to prepare for a fire or an emergency, which will require a quick evacuation. And whereas Sally has been a volunteer librarian for 9 years at the San Miguel County Detention Center, she works hard to find people to donate books, but most of the time she pays for them out of her own pocket. And also belongs to the Citizens Advisory Committee at the San Miguel County Detention Center and has been a member for 9 years. And whereas Sally's husband had a dream to have a reintegration center in the community. After he passed away, Sally joined the committee and did not give up on his dream, even if it meant that she was the only one who attended the monthly meetings. And whereas in 2015, the dream of the Reintegration Center became a reality. The Reintegration Center was named Steve B. Flores and Family Reintegration Center in honor of Sally's husband herself and her 3 children. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of San Miguel County Commission would like to honor Sally P. Flores for her years of service and dedication to San Miguel County and its citizens with this resolution. Passed and approved on this 11th day of September 2018 by the Board of County Commissioners of San Miguel County, New Mexico. Thank you so much. You and your husband and your kids, I know them all well. Your kids are fantastic. You did a great job raising them. They're off doing some great things because you guys are such fantastic parents and such great role models. And I thank you for all your service, Ellie. I know how hard you worked and how hard Steve's worked. And I know how hard Sarah's worked.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you.
Do we have a motion? I need a motion to approve this resolution. Motion by Commissioner Varela, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor of this resolution?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Flores.
Thank you very much.
Well deserved. Under item number 4, San Miguel County Resolution number 2018-09-11 GAR, being presented by Matt Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon.
And San Miguel County Commission, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here representing the property owners of South Grand Avenue. In fact, the case, I do have a list to give to the county commissioners of property owners on South Grand. These are the owners of property on South Grand Avenue. If people don't know, and they should know, that there's been a construction South Grand Avenue We have been trying to get a hold of the state. They have very poor communications with the property owners on South Grand. So we decided to meet and talk about the problems that we have. First of all, if you take a look at the resolution that we have, it says here that being the county commission has a big part of the roads here in San Miguel County because San Miguel County is part of Las Vegas. Secondly, we have talked to them about, let me explain something to you. We are not opposed to the construction of the road at all. They're putting new pipelines in there, they're fixing the road, they understand they're going to put new lighting, they're going to put trees, which is nice. The thing that we don't agree on is the mediums that they're going to put in between the road. Some of these people on South Grand Avenue are going to be left out. And by that I mean, you take, at least where I live, I got to go all the way down to where Louis has his garage. If I want to go south, make a U-turn and then go south. If I'm coming in from the north part of town, I have to go all the way to South Pacific, make a U-turn and go back. I do want to tell you one thing. I have lived there 59 years and there's never been a fatal accident. This morning we met with the highway department. They told us they could move some of the, well, first of all, there's going to be a wall in between. Now they're going to put a roll. They call it a roll. That's not really going to help. And I'll tell you why. People are going to start making U-turns. We're going to have more accidents in South Grand than what we ever had. Secondly, they're going to kill a lot of our businesses in South Grand. Right now, they already killed Grand Avenue. Looks like we've been bombed. Take a look at it. We got boarded businesses in town. Some of those people that live there and work there and own those properties, I have talked to a lot of them before they went out of business. The road is what killed them. When it snows, what do? They pile up the snow in the middle of the road. You can't see the median. People are trying to cross from one end to the other, and what do? They hang up their cars and truck. This is why we decided to get together, come to the county commission for help. What the state of New Mexico is doing is hurting the businesses on South Grand Avenue. And don't forget, commercial properties are the ones that pay the most property taxes. I tried to explain that to them this morning. I told them, you're not working with us. Some of these people have mortgages in their properties. What happens to them if they don't have an access to their property? They're going to close up. That's what they did on Grand Avenue. I've had people ask me, well, you guys bombed here in Las Vegas? I said, yeah, on Grand Avenue. The highway department did a good job on it. This is why I'm here today. I'm here today to represent these people that are concerned, very much concerned of what's going to happen to their properties. Because I believe that the highway department is not doing justice to us. Like I said, we met with them. We have met with them at least 3 times. One of the times we invited Senator Campos to visit with us to see what we could do to help and to avoid accidents on South Grand. Well, I guess it failed on deaf ears. We haven't heard from the highway department and we haven't heard from our senator. Secondly, the meeting that we had today was actually called by our city representative in the city council, Mr. Dave Romero. This is why we attended the meeting this morning, and all they did was go in circles with us. We don't want accidents. We don't want anybody getting hurt. We don't want business that are operating today out of business. It's going to hurt like they hurt Grand Avenue. And I'm ready to answer any questions that the commission has. I'd be glad to answer them. I think there's some people here that own RV parks today. Or parks.
Commissioner has a question.
Pardon me, sir?
I have a question, Matt. Have you had people ever come up with an alternative plan as to what could be done to fix the situation without going into a medium? And has anyone else done the same kind of work that we could look at that maybe
Well-
would work for Grand Avenue?
First of all, Mr. Padilla, the Highway Department's been working on this project for 7 years. In other words, we just found out. We found out a few months ago that they had this in mind. I asked him if there was something that we could do to alter the project, and they said no. So what they do, they're working on the east side of the road, and everybody's traveling on the west side of the road. We've already had one accident. Good thing it wasn't a fatal accident. But what's happening right now with the state, I don't think they care. I really believe they don't care. Because like I said, we met this morning with 5 of them, and all they said is first thing they brought up was safety. And I said, what safety are you talking about? We've never had a fatal accident on South Grand. And then they tried to turn it around and say, well, just in case. That doesn't work just in case. If you're going to get killed on the highway, you're going to get killed. There's no answer to it. Anyway, we have tried twice or 3 times. I think I went to the last meeting that they had, and I approached them about the safety part. Don't forget, we have 5 trailer parks south of town, and 1 dealer that sells trailers. These trailers, most of them are 60 to 80 feet long. What's going to happen when they take them out of their property? They cover the whole highway. We also have 5 propane companies south of town. We have 2 big garages south of town where 18-wheelers go in and out. They're not taking that into consideration. If we were to have an explosion, if a truck got hit, it's going to wipe out half of the town. But they don't realize that.
Mr. Martinez, this came to us in the form of a resolution. I didn't realize that it would just hand it to me. So I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution, and then we'll ask for a motion to approve or disapprove, okay? So I'm going to read the resolution now.
Thank you, sir.
A resolution requesting, this is resolution number 2018-09-11-GAR. A resolution requesting the Department of Transportation reconsider the addition of traffic separations in the reconstruction of Grand Avenue because they are unsafe and also damage local economic development. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners have a direct interest in any road in San Miguel County which intersects with any county roads and which concerns the motor vehicle traffic of San Miguel County residents. Grand Avenue is in Las Vegas, New Mexico, which is in San Miguel County, is such a road. Whereas the New Mexico Department of Transportation is currently reconstructing South Grand Avenue in Las Vegas, New Mexico, whereas the reconstruction has changed a 4-lane road into a 2-lane road and traffic has been barred from entering directly local businesses. Whereas the Department of Transportation may have insufficient information, local businesses that there will be dividers between northbound and southbound lane. Whereas these dividers will prevent heavy equipment, vehicles, or commercial 18-wheelers from turning right or left into business locations as drivers approach the business. The long-term result will be permanent detour past a business. Whereas vehicles traveling south on Grand Avenue will have to travel all the way to the intersection of New Mexico and Grand Avenue before having to make a dangerous U-turn in order to return to the local businesses on the east side of Grand Avenue. Whereas the southbound traffic will be forced to pass motels, radio stations, fuel service areas, and trailer courts without being able to directly enter the businesses. Whereas the southbound traffic will be forced to pass McAllister Road exit, which leads to a major trailer park, past the railroad tracks and to residents on the way to McAllister Lake and the Federal Wildlife Preserve and the alternative route of State Road 104. Whereas the road curbs will cause the loss of traffic business traveling on Grand Avenue, there are many tourists traveling from north to south on Grand Avenue because of the new Love's truck stop. This freeway traffic is normally in such a hurry that they do not wish to take time to turn around once they pass a gas station or interesting business which caught their eye. Whereas the proposed road curbs are dangerous, it has already been demonstrated that the curbs are unsafe, an unsafe hazard on northern Grand Avenue, and they cause dangerous driving conditions. These curbs are high and cannot be seen during the accumulation of snow. Cars wishing to turn on Grand Avenue are high-centered because they can't see the curbs in the middle of the road. Substantial economic development has been lost in the small home owned businesses bound by street curbs. Whereas the artificial curbs are dangerous because the trailer sale business and the heavy equipment businesses on South Grand Avenue cannot travel across South Grand Avenue. They would become high-centered and block both northbound and southbound Grand Avenue. Alternatively, they would have to make a U-turn in order to travel in the original intended direction. Whereas it is our understanding and belief that the authority contract from permission from the City of Las Vegas, New Mexico, and the Department of Transportation was not brought before and approved by the City of Las Vegas governing body. If so, authorizing contract may be void without a full public hearing and a vote by the governing body. Whereas elimination of the road curbs is only a small part of total Grand Avenue reconstruction project. There is still time to change the reconstruction plans and eliminate the road curbs. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of San Miguel County finds the Grand Avenue reconstruction presents a health, welfare, and safety issue to the citizens of San Miguel County. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of San Miguel County finds that the middle road curb portion should be investigated and should be eliminated from the project unless there are substantial reasons for keeping curbs. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of San Miguel County request that the New Mexico Department of Transportation and other appropriate agencies reconsider their decision to place northbound traffic and southbound traffic separation curbs on Grand Avenue, passed and approved on this 11th day of September 2018 by the Board of County Commissioners of San Miguel County, New Mexico. The motion to approve this resolution.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Padilla, second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If there's anything else we can do to help the merchants over there, feel free to come by and let us know.
I'm sorry, Art, I didn't hear you.
If there's anything else that we can do to support your opposition to this, let us know.
Well, our next stop is the city of Las Vegas, because I just don't understand how the state could come in without actually having approval from the city. I served on the city council for 8 years, and every project that came through Vegas was actually okayed or rejected by the city. It was never rejected, but the council has a right to reject. Now, what they're doing is shoving it down our throats, and I don't think that's right. We're just following a procedure.
They should be working with the merchants because they're the ones that are going to get affected.
Well, see, Art, we have the names of all the property owners on that list that we had the meeting, and they're all against it.
All right, Mr. Martinez, anything else? Any questions, concerns, questions for Mr. Martinez? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item number 5, order setting tax rate for 2018. Ms. Patricia Gallegos, County Assessor. Good afternoon, Ms. Gallegos.
Good afternoon. The tax rates were received on September the 10th, 2018 by the DFA. The tax rates have been verified by our finance supervisor, by my chief deputy. The tax rates must be approved within 5 days of receipt. With that, I would like to ask the Board of County Commissioners to approve the 2018 tax rates. Thank you.
Commissioner Olivari, you have a question?
The tax rates haven't changed, correct?
I'm sorry?
The tax rates haven't changed?
They changed a little bit, yes. They went up a little bit. We had some areas that went up a little bit, some areas that went down slightly.
Numbers? Tenths of a percent, a hundredths of a percent?
Well, the highest that went up was 0.412. The lowest was 0.002 that went up. And then we had some that went down, which was 0.004, 0.01, and 0.104.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. The motion to approve? Any other concerns, any other questions before we move to?
Any other questions?
Yeah.
The rates that we verify are based on the yield control formula in the state of New Mexico has. And what it does is it curbs how much the mill levy could go up based on a consumer price index. The consumer price index for the mill control rate was 3.17% this past year, so your property tax effort could go up 3.7%. So your income formula is what manages the mill levies to make sure that they would go in access with that inflationary rate.
Thank you. All right. Is there a motion to approve order setting tax rate for 2018?
I have a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Padilla.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Carried.
Thank you, Ms. Gallegos.
Thank you.
Under item number 6, resolution 2018-09-11-CM-1, Chief Lopez. Good afternoon, Chief Lopez.
Chairman, Commissioners, appreciate the time you give me to stand before you. I know recently I did come and report to you what our collaboration is working on in the way of our fight against addiction. Furthermore, I know as law enforcement, we're also, fighting against addiction through our enforcement efforts. So we've come to a point now, that we prepared a resolution not only for the county but also for the city, and we actually went and presented to Mora County earlier today, who is also interested in moving forward in our initiative and our fight against the addiction crisis. So I just wanted to read off a couple of statistics real quick. It won't take too long, but this is off our 2017 epidemiology report, and just to kind of give you an idea, if you don't already know, I'm sure some of you probably do. I know I've seen you guys out there, fighting the good fight with us as well. So number 5 in the state when it comes to alcohol-related death, and we're talking about San Miguel County. Number 4 in the state when it comes to alcohol-related chronic disease and death. Number 5 in the state when it comes to alcohol-related chronic liver disease death. Number 3 in the state when it comes to drug overdose death. Number 6 in the state when it comes to unintentional drug overdose death. And number 6 in the state when it comes to opioid overdose related emergency visits. In 2014, we were actually number 1. And I believe through our efforts and our collaboration and what we've been working on, we've been able to improve those numbers. I strongly feel that we have improved those numbers. Maybe not a lot, but we have made progress. So a little bit, I'll read off the background rationale as to what we're working on here. San Miguel and surrounding communities have been greatly impacted by the current drug and alcohol addiction epidemic seen throughout the country. Due to the malprescribing of prescription medication, economic hardships, shifts in our managed care system, and the deinstitutionalization of mental health hospitals around the country. San Miguel and surrounding communities have seen an increase in individuals experiencing mental health issues and substance use disorders who are in our community without the appropriate resources and at times becoming homeless. They are also in positions of poverty where fighting addiction or just trying to survive on the streets is a common theme. The County of San Miguel, along with other community partners, have an opportunity to address these issues. And that's exactly why I'm here today. I think our collaboration and our effort is at a point where we're asking you to memorialize your support of our fight against the addiction issues that we're facing. And with that, I'm going to read the resolution that we prepared for you, okay? A resolution declaring drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction a public health crisis in San Miguel County. Whereas drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction are serious growing problems within San Miguel County, and whereas the effects of drug and alcohol abuse are devastating to the addicted, their families, friends, and the community as a whole, and whereas deaths resulting from drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction are at historically high levels never before seen in the County of San Miguel. And whereas the economic effects of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction on the entire San Miguel County community are devastating, including the burden on health, law enforcement, and detention resources. And whereas detoxification, and treatment are crucial elements in the fight against drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction. The County of San Miguel lacks public detoxification and treatment facilities, and whereas San Miguel County is engaged in joint efforts with the City of Las Vegas, Alta Vista Regional Hospital, New Mexico Highlands University, Central Family Health, Motor Valley Community Health Services, Pecos Valley Medical Center, New Mexico Hope, and several other local agencies to open detoxification and treatment facilities within the community. And whereas San Miguel County and the City of Las Vegas have set aside funding and partnered with other local agencies to apply for additional funding through grants to facilitate more available access to behavioral health services, including those directed at drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction. And whereas San Miguel County has developed a program of case management services and outpatient care to facilitate recidivism in San Miguel County Detention Center, which enables inmates to begin treatment prior to and upon re-entry into the community and provide access to services directed at drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction. And whereas San Miguel County has implemented a Narcan program in which all public safety agencies within the county carry and have been trained in the administration of Narcan to counter opiate overdoses. And whereas the problem of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction is regional and demands cooperation and resources from all levels of government, as well as from the nonprofit and private sectors. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of San Miguel County Commissioners that drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction are a public health crisis in San Miguel County, and now therefore be it further resolved by the Board of San Miguel County Commissioners that San Miguel County declares its commitment to intensify and expand its fight against drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction. And now, therefore, be it further resolved by the Board of San Miguel County Commissioners that San Miguel County declares its commitment to a regional approach incorporating all levels of government as well as private and nonprofit sectors in the fight against drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and addiction. And we're here today to humbly ask you for consideration in approval of this request and to continue in the fight against addiction that we suffer here in our community.
Any concerns, questions for Mr. Chief Lopez?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, in support of this resolution and everything, we have not yet officially set aside money, although we may have money available in our contingent fund for this. If it doesn't qualify as a qualified expense, we might have to review, or we might have to consider the budget, or looking at the budget to actually set aside funds.
So today we're actually just approving the resolution, we're not setting an amount. Is that correct?
Well, the resolution just indicates that we've already set aside funds, and we haven't
That's right.
officially set aside any funds,
Yeah,
although we
that's right.
have some funds available.
We can make a motion with that addendum on it, so.
Make a motion to approve the
Yeah.
resolution pending,
Yeah, could I have a
pending
question?
a financial review? Sure, absolutely.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Padilla to approve resolution.
Chairman, point of order.
2018, point of order.
Some discussion?
Discussion, okay.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank you, Chief Lopez. I've been at some of these meetings with you on these opiates, and I've missed a lot of them. I've spread it real thin. But I want to thank you for your passion on this subject matter. It's huge. And I know coming up down the road, we need to get a facility here, an inpatient facility. There's so much more, and this county really should be behind that whole thing 100%. It's a win-win for everybody, and the amount of money our community saves by putting in at the front end of what we save in the back end. And I appreciate all your efforts. I know you're going to be a great sheriff, and congratulations on your victory there.
Thank you.
We're really going to be glad to have you a part of San Miguel County. And I just wanted to give you kudos, Chief Lopez.
I appreciate that, and I know we in recent discussions we did talk about funding opportunities, and we did not have a specific amount to request from you. So I know in discussions with the manager, he did say that they would make every effort to help us when we knew what we needed. And that's basically why I put that in the resolution. So there is no specific amount at this point in time to ask for. So I didn't feel that it was proper to ask to put aside anything, but the commitment has been made. And that's why I put it in there, because I want to show, in order for us to move forward with this and start looking, talking to some of our state legislature and talking to some of our congressmen, we got to show that commitment from local government. And that's why I'm here today before you, because I think through our push, we've come to a point now where it's time to declare that commitment from local government, not only from the county of San Miguel, but we're also looking at a commitment from the county of Mora, from the city of Las Vegas, from the county of Guadalupe, who we're striving to take care of, because this is, the facility that we're trying to put together. It's a northeast treatment facility, northeast part of the state. Reason being, we don't have anything here when it comes to detoxification or inpatient treatment. And I think I reported this to you a few months back, but there's only approximately 120 beds within the state. So when our people here in our community are suffering, we have to try and go out and find them a bed, somewhere else in the state to send them to, if it's even open. So, if we can bring this facility here to the northeastern part of the state, particularly our community, we can make sure that we keep some beds available for our people. That way they're not waiting in line to get the services that they so dearly need. And again, we've come to a point now in our efforts to where we feel like we need to memorialize the commitment, by local government. So that's why I'm here asking you today.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, having been to sheriff before and understanding how important and how rare treatment beds are. Having been in Sheriff Gold, I'm sure it's experiencing this. We're having to take people for treatment as far as Santa Teresa down on the border, as far as Roswell treatments were Carlsbad, wherever we could find a bed, we transported them, and they're few and far between. So thank you. We appreciate your efforts and we support it.
One last thing that I wanted to mention that I hadn't mentioned yet was this is also a requirement for us to move forward in our mission to become a HIDA designated county, which will really assist law enforcement in their efforts to end the fight against drugs. So that's something else that you should probably know about this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez, for what you're doing, and if you could include the village of Pecos, I'm sure that
Yes.
our new mayor would be willing to jump on this. And it is unfortunate, but there was a funeral last week of a young woman, and I don't know for a fact, but the talk on Facebook was, tú sabes las drogas, and her brother died last year, and it was the same assumption, and now it's just like we're accepting it, oh well, this is what's happening, and it's not something we should get used to. Thank you.
Definitely, and I do apologize. I did mean to mention Pecos as well, because that is definitely in the plans.
Thank you, Chief Lopez. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second?
Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Padilla to approve resolution number 2018-09-11-CM-1. Second by Commissioner Varela. In favor?
Mr. Chairman.
Opposed?
If I may just interrupt for a second, I wanted to relay to the commissioners that, yes, the San Miguel County has demonstrated a strong history of trying to keep this epidemic ended. But what you're going to see from staff is on these resolutions, it's one thing to say that we support it and another thing to fund it. And so when staff is getting together, we'll try to make you all aware that this may also be a commitment for funding, and then you can handle that issue at that time. Apologize for interrupting. I just wanted to let you know we as staff are trying to get that type of information to you with all these resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. And anyway, motion carries. Moving on, thank you, Chief Lopez.
Thank you.
Soon to be sheriff. Not soon enough for you, Sheriff Gold, after. Anyway, moving on to number 7, resolution 09-11-18, September Preparedness Month. Mr. Maestas, Emergency Manager.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. I'll be presenting for Mr. Maestas as he's traveling today to Farmington. So I'll be presenting this item for Mr. Maestas. The Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, San Miguel County, City of Las Vegas Office of Emergency Management proclaimed September Preparedness Month in San Miguel County in promoting awareness for preparatory steps to protect lives and property. Resolution 09-11-18, September Preparedness Month. Whereas National Preparedness Month creates an important opportunity for every resident of San Miguel County to prepare their home, businesses, and communities for any type of emergency from natural disasters to potential terrorist attacks. And whereas during this nationwide campaign, San Miguel County encourages citizens to help ensure the safety and well-being of their families, neighbors, and communities. And whereas San Miguel County employees are instructed to review safety protocols, evaluation routes, and procedures for ensuring the safety of San Miguel County. And whereas San Miguel County is concerned about personal safety and well-being during an emergency, and there are actions everyone can take to prepare for any emergency or disaster. And whereas household preparedness plans, including meeting points, extra emergency supplies, and emergency contact lists will help ensure you and your family are prepared for any emergency or disaster. And whereas receiving proper training for emergency situations, including first aid, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and the use of automatic external defibrillators and disaster and emergency training will provide the ability to safely and effectively respond to an emergency. And whereas emergency preparedness is the responsibility of every citizen of San Miguel County, are urged to make preparedness a priority by taking 4 simple steps. 1, get an emergency supply kit. 2, create a family emergency plan. 3, be informed about the types of emergencies that can occur in New Mexico. And 4, get involved with the local preparedness organizations and efforts. Now therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of San Miguel County do hereby proclaim the month of September 2018 as September Preparedness Month.
Any questions, concerns? Yes.
I have some,
Commissioner Varela.
Yes, I have some questions. So this is pretty broad. I thank you for bringing this up. Does this include instances like where there's a lot of people can't get out, just everything? That's just one example comes to mind. Another thing that comes to mind is the whip trucks that carry waste down south to Carlsbad. Do we have a plan in case there be an accident with one of those trucks, or is that what this would be preparedness?
Yes, the preparedness plans it's an all-hazard. We're trying to tackle everything as an all-hazard emergency. Back at one point, it was all independent of the type of emergency. Now we try and look at it as an all-hazard plan.
Yeah, and I can imagine you can't foretell or expect every emergency that might come up. So do you have a plan of just the expected kind of things like what we talked about, what I just brought up, and more, I'm sure?
And even going back to training for emergency responders, that's the type of training that they prepare for. It's not specific to specific events anymore. Now we're looking at it as all hazards.
The process,
trying to
notifying people and so on?
Yeah, trying to prepare for the inevitable. You never know nowadays. But the whip trucks are running again. They do travel through here, I believe, a couple times a day when they are running. So whip had stopped for a while, but they are operational again. And I know the whip coordinator for New Mexico has come to our office, and they calibrate the equipment that we do have for emergencies. So they recently came, and so that process is starting all over again. Never really stopped, but we saw stop for a few years. But the equipment that we have from WIP, they do calibrate it, and that is something that did actually occur recently.
Yes, the third question for the chief here. Motion to approve resolution 09-11-18, September Preparedness Month.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Varela, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the next item, 2019 legislative priorities for the 54th legislative session, New Mexico County 33 strong. Chief Gold, Sheriff Gold, I'm sorry, and Warden Elwell, and Chief Duran. Ready for the price?
Chairman, Commissioners, we're here to talk about the 2019 legislative priorities for the 54th legislative session. New Mexico County is 33 strong. These priorities are set forth based on total county needs across the state. There are several issues that address not only the detention center, but the Sheriff's Department and emergency preparedness, as well as a big issue on behavioral health. And I'll speak on the detention, two issues on detention. First is the Detention Reimbursement Fund. This is a fund where San Miguel actually led the state and sued the state for housing of state prisoners. We won that lawsuit as all 33 counties, and legislation was passed to fund a detention County Detention Facilities Reimbursement Act. That was supposed to be funded at $5 million. It has never been funded at $5 million and continues to decrease. Last year we got $2.3 million, and that doesn't even pay for half of the costs that counties are incurring on housing state inmates. And when we call by state inmates, are those inmates that have been found guilty of a felony crime and serving time in our detention center, or are awaiting transport to the state facilities. We really ask that your support. We talked to legislatures. They need to fund that at $5 million, if not more. The second issue that's facing detention right now is an initiative with the behavioral health. There's been several legislative initiatives to really get the Health and Services Department to come into the detention centers and supply services for those with severe mental illnesses and co-occurring disabilities. And that's to come in and get them Medicaid, transition to treatment, housing, anything that they need to transition back into the community. How that affects San Miguel is because we have the state hospital here, we have a lot of people that come from around the state, spend time in the mental health institute, and then become part of our community. And those individuals then again decompensate, and where do they come? They come into the detention center. We have to detox them before they're even taken to the Behavioral Health Institute, or many times they commit a crime. We have to detox them, stabilize them on their mental health medications, and then send them back out to the community. These services are very much needed. So I would ask for your support.
Any questions for our warden? I think he's covered it all. The prisoner transport extradition, obviously, San Miguel County Sheriff's Office, as you know, Mr. Chair, we've been doing a lot of extraditions, and it's very cost-worthy to do out-of-state transit extraditions. It should not be the county's responsibility to pay for the transport of these individuals. So obviously the Sheriff's Association, I'm sure the County of Association in general, is asking for a reimbursement, and hopefully that is endorsed by the counties, by all counties, so that it should be reimbursed to our counties. That would really help us tremendously in the budget. So particularly that prisoner transport, if there's any questions? No? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, right? Also, the Forfeiture Act is something that obviously we've been dealing in law enforcement in general. It doesn't just affect the Sheriff's Office. The cost of the storage, disposal, the seized property, extending life, the process, it's all been in litigation for a long time. That is a huge topic that is always a big discussion at the Sheriff's Association meetings. I don't know if there's any leeway on that or progression on that. Maybe our legal counsel can tell us. I do know that I hear tons of debate on whether it's worth even fighting for this, but I know that bills have been submitted in the past, and it's continuing to be rejected, and it doesn't pass. So I don't really have confidence that it may pass this time, but I hope it does, because it is a big issue with not just every sheriff office in the county, in the state of New Mexico, but it's also an issue with all the PDs. So hopefully that will pass and we'll get all that thing squared away. But I'm here to entertain any questions, if you have any questions pertaining to any of those issues, but those are things that we hope will pass. So yes, I am in 100% support of both of these items.
Motion to approve? Oh, I'm sorry.
Still have the chief over
I'm
here.
sorry. I'm sorry, Mr.
Thank you. One of the last items on this legislative priorities for New Mexico counties is the Fire Protection Fund. New Mexico counties has drafted some legislation to move the State Fire Marshal's office out from the Public Regulation Commission and establish a new agency that would be entitled the Office of Fire and Emergency Services. In doing that, they want to separate from the Public Regulation Commission and develop their own entity and that would operate under a superintendent. And include some emergency medical funding in that portion of the State Fire Marshal's office as well. I believe it was, let me see, they're looking at, and it would be emergency medical funding. Our fire departments currently do receive some emergency medical funding from the EMS Bureau, but the state, through this program, their intent is to have some emergency funding for certain fire departments that do qualify for this additional funding to buy emergency medical supplies, from equipment to medication to training, because the fire service has evolved. Not only do we put out fires, we respond to traffic accidents, to medical calls. Several of our fire departments have EMTs within their department. So to me, it makes sense to have that emergency medical portion as part of the State Fire Fund as well. But the biggest thing to look at in this is moving the State Fire Marshal's office out from the Public Regulation Commission and developing their own entity, their own government agency under a superintendent.
In the discussions in Socorro, that the meetings that I went to, is that there's quite a bit of quite a few problems between PRC and State Fire Marshal's office. There was a lot of support from the people there supporting this move.
Yes.
Apparently the PRC members are interfering quite a bit with the State Fire Marshal's office and their funding. Is that correct?
Correct. It seems the impression is that the PRC doesn't have the State Fire Marshal's office interest as a priority. The State Fire Marshal's office lost millions of dollars a couple of years ago that were transferred to the general fund. I think it was like $18 million. That money should have gone to the fire departments opposed to the general fund. So I think they want to have more. They're trying to streamline it to where there's more control of that funding, so that it can't be just taken away. It should go to where it's intended to go to, and that's the fire departments.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. That was my question, was when I started this job a year and a half ago, and we were at the legislative conference in Santa Fe, and there was a panic about the governor was going to yank this fund and redistribute it to other parts of the state budget. And I mean, it was just panic in that arena in our Association of Counties meeting about, well, what are they going to do if they're not funded? It was huge. I remember it was a critical point, and everyone was scrambling to try to get that. So I do support that they're trying to secure this department, create a department of the fund, protect the fund. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Comment, Commissioner Padilla.
I have a question from each one of the warden, sheriff, marshal. First of all, I guess I'll start with you. So the move now from the counties is to try to support the change over?
Correct.
Is that what it is?
Correct.
Okay, so I got that straight. Mr. Howell, what is what is the problem with the $5 million? Is it not enough, or is it they're trying to cut it, or are they already paying the expenses for state prisoners, or are they not? What's the problem there?
The problem there is they're underfunded the act. The act calls for $5 million. Right now, we're at $2.3 million, which is less than half of what the act should be. So what we're saying is to reimburse the act to $5 million and distribute all those monies to the counties.
Okay, so they're not doing it now, is that
Correct.
Okay, so we need to push that one. Sheriff, what is the problem with the Forfeiture Act?
Well, that's a huge issue. The Forfeiture Act, obviously, we've been trying to, and I guess, how do I want to say this? Without getting into litigation verbiage of it, dialogue is ultimately when a law enforcement agency seizes a piece of property or a big drug bust of some sort, we have concerns on how the law enforcement agency can actually obtain the funding and revert it back to the agency that was seized. And you got the feds involved, you got a process with the feds wanting a portion of it, you got the portion of it being unconstitutional. There's just so many things, legality, that's holding us from actually doing that. APD was doing a lot of forfeitures during I want to say 14, 15, 13 years around there, and that's kind of when all this came into play, that it was in violation of people's rights. And so there was a seize on that. Now there's a lot of property that and just for notation, is when I inherited the sheriff's office, we don't have any, those cases have been closed. So currently, when I got in there, we didn't have any cases that we've actually seized. So it doesn't apply to San Miguel County Sheriff's Office. As the former police chief, we did have a lot of cases through the narcotic department where there's some seizure cases that are actually pending. But for most agencies, it's just a big litigation on whether we can actually seize their property or not. So it's a huge, complicated situation, the Forfeiture Act. I think the counties association should definitely endorse it, because it should continue, because the law enforcement did put a lot of effort and time and resources into these particular cases, and I think they deserve to be reimbursed and compensated through the legal process. But I don't have the faith, because we've been trying probably since Sheriff Nahar was there, Commissioner Nahar was there. It's just one of those things that it becomes a civil issue, thinking is, should it or should it not be seized?
As I understand, the sheriff wasn't found unconstitutional in federal court at this point?
Yes, there's certain particular cases, from what I understand, yes.
So we can't do it right now, is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is they're still in litigation, and I think that they're still wanting to go to bat for it. They still want to say that it was not unconstitutional, and that the agencies deserve some type of reimbursement for all the work that they've done.
So they appealed it?
I'm not too sure where that is. I couldn't answer that. Yeah, I don't know where the process is. I just
so what you're asking of us is to support the old statute or whatever?
Yes, to continue supporting the actual forfeiture bill that's going to be presented. And specifically, I don't have the actual words for it, but to continue supporting it. I think every sheriff's office, I think every county is asking for our continued support from each county.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, a comment concerning the Forfeiture Act. There is litigation on both sides about whether or not it violates due process. There is a recent court case that Albuquerque has been violating the process in their use of the Forfeiture Act. But I can understand the arguments as to staffing and compensation for our law enforcement officials and what they do. But without something, say for example, presented by joint effort of the sheriffs, the Association of Counties, the county attorneys, the managers joining together saying this is our position, it might be premature to take a stand on the issue when the law seems to be going both ways, even though there's good reason to support the sheriff.
Any questions, concerns?
Thank you all.
All right, I need a motion for where we at, hold on just a minute. To approve legislative 2019 legislative priorities for the 64th legislative session.
Also moved.
Moved by Commissioner Padilla, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Varela. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9, San Miguel County Firefighter Introduction and Safety Course. Chief Duran.
Again, thank you. The San Miguel County Fire Division is dedicated to the safety, survival, and well-being of its firefighters. San Miguel County Fire Division, using standardized curriculum and implementation, promotes excellence in firefighting for the protection of the citizens of San Miguel County. What I've done is created a curriculum for all our firefighters to follow as a first step when we get firefighters. A curriculum that's going to give them an introduction to what the fire service is and some basic safety training before we put a firefighter out there and to fight a fire. They do have the opportunity to go to the fire academy, but it is difficult for most members to be gone for 2 weeks to the fire academy. So we're developing a training program in-house that'll meet the standards and meet the curriculum that is being taught at the fire academy. And we will conduct the training in-house and document that training. That's the most important aspect of this, is documenting that training. A lot of the training that is in this curriculum is being completed right now, but it's not being documented. So through this program, there will be skill sheets that they will have to get signed off on upon completing some of the skills that they're being taught, and then we as a county will issue a certificate of completion to these firefighters, and we can put that in their records, indicating that they've completed some training, and as time evolves, we'll continue to develop new courses.
Questions, concerns for Chief Duran? A motion to approve San Miguel County Firefighter Instruction and Safety Course.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Padilla, second by Commissioner Varela. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under
Thank you.
item number 10, recommendation to approve job description for detention transport officer and detention officer. Ms. Cedillo.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. In your packet, you have a job description of detention transport officer, detention officer. And so the detention officer will be responsible for the transportation of inmates incarcerated in the San Miguel County Detention Center to local and out-of-county court hearings and other detention facilities, medical and behavioral health facilities. This individual will also be responsible for maintaining custody and control of inmates incarcerated in SMC DC, and this individual will be responsible for the enforcement of laws, correctional standards and regulations, and departmental policy and procedures that apply to adult detention, and performs regular duties as assigned. And I'm requesting your approval of this job description.
Any concerns, questions from Mr. Cedillo? Motion to approve a job description for detention transport officer and detention officer. Motion to approve by Commissioner Varela, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Olivari. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 11, personnel action for changes for the month of August 2018. Cedillo?
So in your packet, you have the personnel actions or changes that have taken place in San Miguel County for the month of August 2018. These are being submitted to you for ratification and approval.
Questions, concerns, Mr. Cedillo? Motion to approve and ratify personnel actions.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Olivari, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Padilla, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And item number 12, detention center medical and mental health provider, Gordon Elwell.
Chairman, Commissioners, this is informational as part of our detention center medical and mental health services. We came to the commission last month requesting approval for the county manager to negotiate a one-year contract with a medical provider when our medical provider had filed for bankruptcy. I'm proud to announce that the county manager was able to negotiate a contract with Core Health Medical Services to provide medical and mental health services within the detention center. It is a one-year contract. During this 1 year, we will be going out for a request for proposal to all other medical contractors who are interested in providing medical services at our detention center. So we once again have a full medical and mental health services at the detention center. And I'm open for any questions.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Any concern, questions for the warden? All right, informational purposes only item. Under item number 13, recommending approval out-of-state travel, Sarah Parson and Crystal City Baca to attend supervisors training in Santa Monica, California. Warden.
Okay, Chairman and Commissioners, I'm requesting approval for out-of-state travel for Sarah Parson and Crystal Cedebaca to attend key supervisory training at the Matrix Institute in Santa Monica, California, November 14th through November 17th. The Matrix model is part of our medicated assisted treatment program. Their training will allow them to come back and train other trainers in our community. So as we push for treatment in the community, as we push for other centers to open up, the Matrix model has been adopted by many of these centers. These two individuals can come back and actually train other members to teach the model. So they're already instructors of the model, but this will be train the trainer to certify other trainers. This will be a one-time expense to go out there. It is funded by our grant, which we got from our medicated assisted treatment program. This model not only is for educational component of our inmates, but it's educational component once they're released from custody. And I'm proud to announce we have 6 individuals in the community on medicated treatment, and this model will not only train and educate them, but it trains and educates their families and their children. So I recommend approval for their out-of-state travel.
Question, anybody concerned?
Thank you.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve by Commissioner Varela, second by Commissioner Levari. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Under item number 14, approval of 12-month extension specific to SP-4-18904 and CAP-4-18-454 project between San Miguel County and New Mexico Department of Transportation for 8th Street Extension Project. Mr. Madrid.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. This is something that seems like we do every year. The timing of the release of the funding and the construction season don't always coincide. So we traditionally ask for a one-year extension, which is not out of the ordinary for anyone. In this particular case, we're going to take 2 of the funding sources, the co-op and the CAP, and combine them so that we can initiate improvements along the 8th Street extension, and that would be a repaving project. The other one is the school bus route. I think I have those right. In any case, the extension would be from December 31st, 2018 to December 31st, 2019. The Department of Transportation requires a resolution with your concurrence, and we ask for that today.
Excuse me, Mr. Madrid, are you jumping into item number 15, or do you need approval on the 8th Street extension first?
The one that I
jumped into the school bus project, that's in the next item, is that correct?
Yes, that's a bid award.
Okay, let's go ahead and get approval on item number 14 on the 8th Street extension. Discussion, motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Levari, second. Second by Commissioner Padilla, all in favor?
Aye.
Approval of 12-month extension, that's on 8th Street extension, all opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to number 15, award a bid for 2018 bus route on the Tewa Road paving project. Mr. Madrid.
This project is to complete the paving that was done last year, and it is a school bus route project. and we're trying to get this done before the cold weather sets in. So this would be a very fast-track project. There were 2 bidders. One of them was RL Leader. The bid without gross receipts tax was $73,742. The low bid from Rocky Road Gravel and Well Drilling was $52,010. We're recommending your approval of award of the bid to Rocky Road in the amount of $52,010 without gross receipts tax, $55,564 with gross receipts tax. We ask for your approval.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Padilla.
I know that we had problems with the paving the last time he did the paving there. I want to make sure that it was corrected before we approve him again for the same project, same area.
It was corrected.
Correct the problems
Yes.
that we had over there?
Yeah, where the problems were, it was completely redone at the contractor's cost. We didn't have to pay for it.
Because I know he hesitated for a while there to go back. So,
Arnold twisted his arm really well.
but he
and he did
got
it.
it done, Arnold? Okay, Chief. Then it's up to specs. Okay. Then I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Padilla, the Tewa Road paving project. Second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rivera. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under item number 16, just a second, Mr. Lopez.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commission.
Public Works Division report for the month of August. Here you go. Yes, sir.
Sorry. Good afternoon again. So basically what we've been addressing is just areas of, that we had erosion due to the heavy rains and storms. We haven't been able to provide too much maintenance on these roads because we've had our motor graders and crews busy just addressing, keeping our roads safe and passable. But we're getting caught up now. The rains have kind of lightened up and we're not experiencing too much damage on them. So, but we are, just so you know, losing one of our grader operators for medical reasons. So we'll be a little bit short-handed. We have advertisement for a temporary blade operator. So hopefully we could get somebody on board and are able to provide additional maintenance once we get a new operator in. But with that being said, so we did do a lot of, like I say, erosion repair on B53 and Pecos, B55, B30, B41 in Rivera, B36 in Aurora, B28 in Bernal, on Leyva also. Over in Rincona, we went into Rincona, the fire department up in that area was having hard times getting in and out of that area, so we went in there and did some improvements, made it passable, and they're very happy there. Johnny was over in San Rafael. We had a big washout there that he addressed in San Jeronimo, all that area there, and A16C, A17A, A18A, over in the Pueblo area also on B41E. Johnny took care of that. Over in Myers, more washouts there. San Rafael, again, we had to go back a second time due to some flooding there and more problem areas. B56 and then B41F also. Just some updates, and our Gallinas project is finally underway. So they started yesterday. So basically we're doing a leveling course there, and then we're doing a chip seal of that area.
I saw the signs, but I wasn't sure if it was a state or you guys.
Yeah,
I didn't
it's-
see anything on 65, so I was hoping that project had started.
It is ours, yes, sir. Yeah, so they will be addressing that. It should be complete, hopefully by the end of the next week, easily. And weather's cooperating, so it should be a pretty smooth project there. The White Barn Road also, they started paving today. Yeah, so they're out there, the contractors busy paving. They were laying down some hot mix earlier. They finished the bridge deck repair also, it's taken care of, addressed, that's all good. So hopefully that project will be completed possibly by the end of the week, the paving anyways. Probably just lack some cleanup, but again, weather permitting, it should be a smooth project this week.
Were we able to get a blade out to San Agustin and Lourdes?
Not yet,
Okay.
no, not yet, yeah. But we'll take care of that.
All right, any other comments for Mr. Lopez?
Gracias, gentlemen.
Thank you for your great work, as always.
Thank you.
And
Also,
thanks for taking care of the weeds, going to the school. You guys did your part in the state. I called the state, and the people that called me, they said, oh, we don't want to have to call. We just want you, the county and the state to know they can take care of this area.
yeah.
Just remind readers, so remember next year.
And I'm glad you reminded me because we got our mower back in operation. So now we're able to address a lot of areas that are needed. We went over to that corner by the World College, Mr. Ulibarri, and we took care of that, yesterday, I believe. And then we're going to go up to Gallinas and mow that area as well.
Isn't Bobby Moe that up there? Or not anymore?
I guess not anymore, no. I know there was an agreement with him at some point, but we never really knew of what came out of it, nor who initialized that or where it was from. We just kind of accidentally found out.
I would just advise Commissioner Varela that one of your operators is having a double knee replacement, so.
Yeah, Peter.
Easy out.
Yes, ma'am.
Position that you're trying to,
Yes, his last day is Friday.
is he coming back, planning to come back after surgery or?
Well, I guess it all depends on recovery and how he heals.
So do we
That's
have
gonna be-
somebody filling in for him in the
That's-
meantime, or that's what you're working on?
We're working on a temporary position. And then also our newer operator, Juan Vigil, is, we're doing some trainings. We're getting him certified as well. So we're planning on placing him out there also, and he'll start learning the grader.
Yeah, Commissioner Padilla.
Just wanted to ask you a question on the bridge on Cañoncito. Did you get the awards? Did you get the material finally?
No, we have some material on hand, not enough to do that. But, there's going to be some discussion on a lot of those structures. There's a lot of structures throughout the county that are going to need attention. And maybe with some of the leftover road revenue monies, maybe we could address some of those structures that are in bad need. And that's what I would recommend
You
to
haven't started
address those.
the repair on that road, from that, where Rocky Road left off? You said that they were gonna do, the county was gonna do the actual, really.
In Cañoncito, you're talking about?
Cañoncito.
Yeah, so we were there, briefly, we did the area right there by the Brainerd, the Venerian area.
Right.
Yeah, we had some washouts there, and we applied some base course. But as soon as, again, we're caught up with this emergency response stuff that we had going on, then once we can, we will continue that road and provide some additional
The
material.
bridge is the real concern, I guess, more than anything else.
Yeah,
So that would be priority number one on that end.
okay. We will take care of it.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you guys for doing the
Thank you,
great
Mr.
work.
Lopez, appreciate it. Appreciate your hard work. Item number 17, resolution number 09-11-18-RE01, addition to Thunder Road and Union Name Private Road. Mr. Trujillo.
Chairman, Commissioners, the owner of a private driveway off County Road B26A in Serafina petitioned the county to name a driveway leading to their residence. Per San Miguel County Ordinance number SMC-07-13-99-ORD-2, Section 4.1-C, proposed to San Miguel Board of County Commissioners, please review and take appropriate action on road naming for any private road that provides access to 3 or more buildings and requires a name in order to promote the health, safety, and welfare of the public. This name has been determined to be acceptable by SMC rule addressing staff per San Miguel County Ordinance. The property owner has paid the $100 fee required for the name of the road or driveway. So at this time, we're requesting approval of Thunder Road in Serafina, New Mexico.
Motion to approve. So moved. Moved by Commissioner Olivari, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 18, legislative appropriation, grant number 18-C-2551. Mr. Tafoya.
Good afternoon. The county has received legislative appropriation grant number 18-C-2551, which provides $20,000 to plan, design, and construct improvements to kitchen and laundry floors at the detention center in San Miguel County. And we're asking the Board of County Commissioners to accept the grant agreement and authorize Commission Chairman Chris Nahara to sign the grant agreements. so we can return them back to local government division.
Questions, concerns? Would be motion to approve? So moved. Motion to approve by Commissioner Olivares, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Under item number 19, legislative appropriation grant number 18-C2552. Mr. Tafoya.
Yes, this is a legislative appropriation grant number 18-C2552, which provides $35,000 to purchase, construct, and install a proprietary fiber optic line for San Miguel County. And we're asking the Board of County Commissioners to accept the grant agreement and authorize the Commission Chairman, Chris Nahar, to sign the grant agreements.
Questions? In favor to motion to approve? So legislative appropriation grant number 18-C2552. Have a motion by Commissioner Padilla to approve, second by Commissioner Olivares. In favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 20, legislative appropriation grant number 18-C2554. Mr. Tafoya.
And this legislative appropriation is grant number 18-C2554, which provides $105,844 to purchase and equip public works equipment and vehicles for the road maintenance and solid waste transport in San Miguel County. And we're asking the Board of County Commissioners to accept the grant agreement and authorize Commission Chairman Chris Nahara to sign the grant agreements.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Varela, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Under item 21, vacation of flat applications SB-0031, Mr. Tapoya.
This is an application for a vacation of plat that was submitted by Mr. David P. Maes, who proposes to vacate lot 45 and consolidate that lot into an existing lot 46 within the Pandaray Village Subdivision 6. Mr. Maes can't be here today because his job obligations, and he was unable to take off from work essentially to be here. But what he's proposing to do is vacate the two lots and make lot 45 and lot 46 into the existing lot 46. We conducted an agency review of the application with Century Link, the San Miguel County Fire Chief, the Public Works Department, the County Assessor, and the Mora San Miguel Electric Co-op. Century Link indicated that there would be no impact to their services. The County Fire Chief indicated there would be no impact to County Fire Services. The Public Works Supervisor indicated that there would be no impact to county roads. The Mora San Miguel Electric Co-op indicated there would be no impact to their electrical services. We did not receive a response from the County Assessor's Office. So what we're asking is, oh yes, and we also notified adjoining property owners of today's hearing and of the application, and we also notified the Pandaray Village Association. We did not receive any comments from anyone. What we're asking for is the Board of County Commissioners to review the application, accept public comment on the application, and then approve the application to vacate the plat.
Is there anybody to speak today here to speak on behalf of this item? Anybody here? No public comment on it whatsoever. Any questions from the Commission? Any concerns from the Commission?
I just have a question, Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Tafoya?
Commissioner Varela.
Yeah, we heard from the Homeowners Association, or when this started happening a few months ago, and since then we've seen a couple. Do you know if they've resolved that with them? I think their concern was that they were concerned of losing revenue of combining this, and I think the discussion was they could figure that out. You know, that wasn't our concern. in the county. So it seems like they're backing off. So I'm assuming then that they took care of those internal issues amongst themselves?
I don't know. We haven't been advised, and the Panbury Village Association hasn't commented on this application or the previous one.
Because it seems like we're getting them regularly now. I'm just wondering if it's...
Yes. Yeah, we're getting several. In fact, we have one pending, which will probably be on the October meeting. But that seems to be the practice of a lot of the property owners.
Makes sense. I don't know what you're thinking. What is your thinking on it? I mean,
well,
if it was me that had 5 separate pieces, I'd rather have one big piece. What is your thinking on this?
I really don't have an opinion other than to say they're following the process set by the New Mexico Subdivision Act and our own county ordinance. Some of the lots are small lots and they want to combine them into larger lots for different reasons. This particular application, the applicant did not indicate why he wanted to combine his lots.
It's just interesting.
Yeah, they're all in that same little area right there.
Would it affect the amount of taxes that are paid on those?
Remain
the same?
I don't know. We didn't get a response from the county assessor on that question, so I don't know how to answer that question.
All right, anyway,
Mr. Tafoya, I was just going to ask you, they followed the application process, and they met all the criteria, and you notified everyone around there, probably including the Panbury Village owners or association, I should say, and they're not here to comment. So I guess what I'm saying is, if there was any concern, someone would have been here at the hearing.
No one notified us of any concerns one way or the other.
With that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve it.
Okay, motion to approve the vacation or flat. Commissioner Olivari.
You might want to say for the record that there was no opposition to this.
Yeah, there has been nobody to speak on behalf of Mr. Metz, who requested it, did inform you that he couldn't be here, and nobody is here to oppose it. So at this time, Commissioner Padilla has made a motion to vacate, to approve the vacation of plan application SB-0031. Have a second?
Yes, second.
Second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 22.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tafoya. The MOU between Juvenile Justice Continuum Board and San Miguel County. Yolanda Cruz.
Thank you. So the Juvenile Justice Continuum Board met a couple weeks ago for the first time in about a year. And one of the requirements from CYFD, who funds that program, is to have a memorandum of understanding. And that memorandum of understanding, they sent me sample language from Rio Arriba County. And it just simply states that the collaborative partners of the Las Vegas Juvenile Justice Continuum Board agree to work together as part of the Juvenile Justice Continuum Initiative for the purpose of preventing and reducing juvenile delinquency, as well as developing and or expanding appropriate services and sanctions in the 4th Judicial District. The County of San Miguel, an eligible entity for state juvenile justice and delinquency prevention funds, agrees to serve as the contractor for the Juvenile Justice Continuum funds to carry forward this purpose. And so that language was approved by the Continuum Board at their last meeting, and I'd like to bring it before you now for consideration to sign it for the submission of the fiscal year 20 grant, which is due, I believe, at the end of the month.
Any first question? Ms. Cruz? Having said that, I need a motion to approve the MOU between Juvenile Justice Continuum Board and San Miguel County. Motion to approve. Motion by Commissioner Olivari, second by Mr. Varela. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Did I miss that first meeting?
What?
Was I supposed to be there? My bad.
Yeah. We excused you.
I'll be the next one.
Okay.
Thank you. Item number 23, 2018 JAG Program Award. Sheriff Gold.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, as you know, the JAG grant is up again as requirements is that we enter into a interlock agreement between the City of Las Vegas and County of San Miguel County, and the County of San Miguel, excuse me. The JAG amount for this year that's been awarded has been cut right down the middle between the City of Las Vegas and San Miguel Sheriff's Office. For the amount that the San Miguel County Sheriff's Office will receive is $5,562.50. And just for note, this is for the new administration. I'm just doing the paperwork so that Mr. Lopez, our sheriff-elect, can continue so that he'll have this money available. The money has been set aside for some level of body armor, but can be changed if the need of the sheriff's office changes after the new administration. And that is it.
All right, any comments, questions for Mr. Sheriff Gold? Having said that, I need a motion to approve 2018 JAG Program Award. Moved by Commissioner Palya, second by Commissioner Valero. In favor? Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to Board of Finance meeting, 24 bank transfers for the month of August. Ms. Bustamante, San Miguel County Treasurer.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So in August, we had 3 payroll transfers because it was a long month. August the 2nd, we had from Detention Center, $50,963.27. From General Fund, $188, $27.58, a total of $238,990.85. On August the 16th, we had from Detention Center, $53,652.93. From General Fund, $165.27, a total of $243,718.20. August the 17th, we had a small payroll transfer from Detention Center to General Fund. From Detention Center to payroll, it was $163.20. General Fund, $4,899.16, a total of $5,062.36. Then on August the 30th, we had from Detention Center, $50,488.98. From General Fund, $159,676.44, a total of $210,165.42. Then our internal transfers from General Fund to Detention Center, on August the 2nd, we had $250,000. On August the 3rd, from Detention Center to the Detention Center Summit, $5,730.18. On August the 6th, we had from General Fund to Fire Fund, $482,880.40. On August the 17th, we had from General Fund to Fire Funds, $2,122.10. On August the 27th, we had from Detention Center to Detention Summit, $3,910. On August the 27th, from General Fund to Fire Funds, we had $3,020 transferred. And then our Bernalillo County transfer was $60,959.72. That was on August the 30th.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, item 25, FY 18/19 budget approval. Ms. Gonzalez.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, in your packet, you'll have a letter from the Department of Finance and Administration dated August 22nd, 2018, approving the fiscal year 18-19 budget. This should be made part of the minutes of the governing board. If you read the letter, you'll notice one part is highlighted. It indicates due to estimated expenditures and transfers exceeding estimated revenues, our entity general fund cash balance is being depleted. Careful control of expenditures and attention to revenue collection efforts is recommended to avoid future depletion of reserves. As mentioned during our budget hearings, we did have excess cash from the previous year, so those have been budgeted this fiscal year on non-recurring expenditures, and that is why we're depleting it. And then additionally, the Department of Finance and Administration stresses that all budget increases and transfers between funds that are not included in the final approved budget have to be approved by the local government division and through the newly created local government budget management system.
Questions for the letter? Sure. Informational purposes only. Item number 26, resolution 2018-09-11-F2.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I have in front of you the resolution spelling out what the budget adjustments are, a document showing the changes by numbers to each of the funds, and then finally a backup from our trial balance regarding the first adjustment. In the new budgeting system that the local government division has, the accounts receivable, prepaid, and other assets are now being recognized in the revenue column, and accounts payable and other liabilities are being recognized in the expenditure column, where prior to these items were reported as part of the beginning resources. As a result, these items need to be pulled from the beginning resources and included in either the revenues or expenditures or both. So these corrections that are on this particular page, highlighted in purple, are budget adjustments that I've worked through with our budget analyst to make sure to pull those out of our beginning cash and place them in the revenue and expenditure column, just so we could tie to the new local government budgeting system. The funds that were affected were Fund 101, which we had $251,000 in prepaids for our calendar year 2018 insurance premiums for multi-line and law enforcement. This amount will be expended in fiscal year 18-19. We also had additional prepaids in the general fund of over $1,000 in other assets. Those will affect the revenue column. We also have an accounts payable and other liabilities in the general fund totaling $96,000. When budgeted, these liabilities affect the expenditure column, and that's why the adjustments are being made. In the Crusher Fund, there is a due from other funds in the amount of $11 that will need to be pulled from other resources and placed in the revenue column. Fund 407, an amount of $300 will need to be added to the beginning resources in an equal amount recorded for an expenditure. This is tied to an accounts payable item for their department. In Fund 703, which is our detention center, there's a $9,780 equipment deposit, which is considered another liability, that will now need to be recognized under the expenditures, and $28 receivable that will need to be recorded in the revenue. In Fund 754, the $601 liability will now need to be recognized in the expenditure column. This is evidence funds that are being held and eventually need to be paid out. Fund 983 and 984, there is a due from each other in the amount of $160. And finally, Fund 997, which is our housing fund, there are receivables of $26,419 and a payable of $10 that will need to be recognized as revenues and expenditures. These adjustments are needed to reconcile to the budget recap to the LGBMS system. The general ledger will still maintain these accounts as either assets or liabilities. So that is the first correction. The next item is when entering in the final budget, an error was discovered. The cash balance of $193.51 was left off the beginning balance in Fund 750. An adjustment is being made to recognize that beginning cash and also to budget the same amount in expenditures. The next adjustment is during the commission meeting, we approved the mill rates for the property tax year 2018. The property tax revenue increase anticipated is roughly $180,000. The increase is associated with an inflationary factor run through the yield control formula and is also based on net new valuations. The revenue budget will be adjusted accordingly. As a result of the bankruptcy filing from our former healthcare providers, the county entered into a contract with a new provider. The increase in cost for services are roughly $258,750. As a result, a transfer of $125,000 is being made from the general fund and a $50,000 transfer from Fund 704 to the detention center to cover those costs. In addition to those transfers, the unbudgeted cash balances in the detention center will be utilized and an increase to the budgeted expenditures will be made. Also, the county was awarded a mitigation grant. The matching requirement is $13,750, which will come from the general fund to Fund 316, which is a mitigation grant. In addition to budgeting the transfer, we are budgeting revenues in the amount of $41,250 and expenditures in the amount of $55,000 are being budgeted. Whereas an increase in the general fund expenditures of $33,000 is being made as a result of 2 carryover purchase orders from our IT office. These items, there are some items ordered out of the fiscal year 17-18 budget but were not received until this fiscal year. The purchases are for a new production server and a disaster recovery replication server. Whereas the Fund 206 is for a disaster project and was originally designated as a 299900 fund with DFA, which is a new DFA, but will need to be reclassified to 30400, which is a new DFA fund in the system. As a result, the 29900 budget items are being zeroed out and the cash balance of 81464 is being transferred to the 304 line item. Internally, there's no effect to us, but it's just an effect for the DFA budgeting system. The next item is the county received the $35,000 in legislative appropriations to purchase and construct and install proprietary fiber optic that will be installed between the annex and the courthouse. These funds are being budgeted in Fund 210, which is the District Court Courthouse Improvement Fund. Whereas the county received $105,844 in legislative appropriations to purchase public works equipment and vehicles for road maintenance and solid waste transport. These funds are being budgeted in Fund 220, which is a vehicle capital outlay. Whereas the county received a $20,000 legislative appropriation to plan, design, and construct improvements to the kitchen and laundry floors of the detention center. These funds are being budgeted in 221. Whereas the county received $3,020 in emergency medical services. These funds are being budgeted in Fund 527, which is a Cabo Lucero EMS. And whereas the county received a $5,622.50 Justice Assistant Grant, which is being budgeted in Fund 753. Those are the budget adjustments being presented.
Any questions for Mr. Bellick? I need a motion to approve resolution 2018-09-11-2. Motion to approve. Motion made by Mr. Padilla, second by Mr. Valero. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under item number 27, indigent burial claim. Mr. Bellick.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, we have, the Finance Office has received and processed 2 indigent burial claims. One was for $600 from the Daniels Family Funeral Services and another was from Rogers Mortuary in the amount of $1,200 and seeking ratification of these.
Motion to ratify the indigent burial payments. So moved. Moved by Commissioner Olivari, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barrera. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under item number 28, resolution 2018-09-11-F1, authorizing the reposing of fund number 316.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, in an effort to kind of recycle some of our funds that are no longer in use, I'm submitting this resolution to repurpose Fund 316. Fund 316 was created to account for a specific grant and it was completed in fiscal year 2014 and is no longer active. The Finance Office would like to repurpose the fund to now be used for the mitigation grant. This fund will be considered a special revenue fund. It will be entitled Mitigation Fund and will be used to account for the mitigation grant to include the matching requirements. And so I'm seeking approval to repurpose this particular fund.
Motion to repurposing the fund 316 is what it was. Anyway, the motion to approve resolution 2018-09-11-F1.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Rivera, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under item 29, cash balance report for the month of July 2018, informational purposes only.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this report is just to provide you with our ending cash balances at the end of July 31st, 2018. These cash balances have been reconciled. It's for informational purposes.
Number 30, journal entry report for the month of July 2018.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this is a report run off of our system showing you all journal entries that were prepared and approved during the month of July 2018, and it's for informational purposes.
Under item 31, accounts payable report for the period of July 28, 2018 through August 27, 2018, and the housing payment register for the month of July 2018. Ms. Gonzalez.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I have a report for you detailing the expenditures that were made for the period indicated. And in addition, I have the housing assistant payment from Bernalillo County for the month of July for your approval.
Accounts payable report for the month of July 29th through August 27, 2018, and a motion to approve. Moved by Commissioner Rivera, second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Under item number 32, receipt report for the month of July 2018, informational purposes only. Ms. Gonzalez.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this report is also run off of our system, and it lists all receipts that have been received by our Treasurer's Office for the period of July 2018 for information purposes.
Okay. All right, that's all the items on our agenda.
33, point of order. One more item, Mr. Chairman, 33.
Oh, 33, did I pass that? Oh, 30, budget report for the period of July 1st, 2018 to July 31st, 2018, informational purposes only. Ms. Gonzalez.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we're required by DFA to provide you with a quarterly report for the fourth quarter of the end of every fiscal year. And what I'm going to start doing is to provide you monthly budget reports off of our pilot system, so you guys can review and see if you have any questions or anything. The particular report, what I just kind of defined is how it was run and what each of the columns represents. The report actually tells you the period that it was run for, a date that it was run. It shows you the original budget, and the current budget in this particular case as a whole is the same. There might be some changes based on line item transfers, but as a budget adjustment, like the one that was just approved by you and is eventually approved by DFA, that will also eventually affect the current total budget. There's a column in here for period activity. That's a current month that I'd be reporting. So in this particular case, it's for the month of July. Fiscal activity is going to be from the beginning of the fiscal year till now, in this case, which is still July. Encumbrances are ending purchase orders that are encumbering the monies, and then it gives you a variance as to how much money is still available. When you see negatives in these particular cases, like on this first page, don't be alarmed about this one because these are revenues, and the revenues will show up as a negative until such time the revenues come in. So those will automatically show up as negatives, just the way that the system is designed. But it's for informational purposes only.
Thank you for doing this, Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. All right, that concludes the regular commission meetings. We will return to executive session. Mr. Dio, there's a couple of items that need to be presented in executive.
Yes, there are items scheduled for executive session.
Okay, motion to return to executive session. Limited personnel matters permitted, let me go over this, permitted by NMSA 178, section 10-15-1H, paragraph 2, as amended of the Open Meeting Act, more specifically personnel matters regarding Pacific County Department of Public Works, and under item category number 2, attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation as permitted by NMSA 1978, section 10-15-1, paragraph 8, paragraph 7, as amended of the Open Meeting Act, more specifically San Miguel County versus Estrella de Nodo, San Miguel County versus Lavenia Pensi. This time, I ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session. So move it, moved by Commissioner Padilla, second. Second by Commissioner Padilla, all in favor? We have to go to. Could I have a roll call, please? Would you roll call, please?
Commissioner Maria Martinez. Commissioner Arthur Padilla.
Here.
Commissioner Rock Ulibarri. Vice Chair Janice Varela.
Yes.
Chairman Chris Nahar.
Yes. All right. This time.